Imagine being thrown out of your own home the second you're born. And not just thrown out, your own parents are constantly trying to kill you. In the end, they just dumped him into the most dangerous monster dungeon in the world, left to rot. All because he and his brother were a rare set of twins, a one-in-a-million kind of deal. He thought he was born on top of the world, but nope. Turns out, dragon tradition says you only raise one son per clutch. The weaker one gets eaten. That's just the law of nature. His parents didn't have the guts to actually eat him themselves, but they gave him another road straight to death, and had the nerve to call it, doing it all for his brother's sake. After a whole night of thinking it over, they just tossed him straight into the deadly dungeon. High-level monsters run wild in there, and his ultra-rare dragon blood? To them, it's basically the finest gourmet meal. So his parents weren't worried at all about him coming back for revenge later. And honestly, they were right. His combat ability here was zero. Even just staying alive felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. He managed to hide, using his tiny size, and avoided getting spotted by those high-level beasts. But going so long without food or water was slowly draining the life out of him. Just when he was starving and about to pass out, desperately hunting for anything to eat, a faint sour smell suddenly drifted through the dark cave. It was pretty sour, almost a bit rank, but his dragon instincts were screaming at him that this was the scent of food, and only a dragon's nose could pick up this specific smell. At that point, he didn't care about the danger anymore. After weaving through a few caves, he finally found the source of the scent. It was a round, dome-shaped cavern. Right in the center of the hollowed-out floor lay a dragon stretched out about 60 feet long. And not just any dragon, a level 28 subspecies. One sneeze from this thing could have blown him to bits. Following the scent, he could see about 3 or 4 hatchlings around his size, guzzling down their mother's milk. Now, this ground dragon wasn't a purebred, but still had dragon blood. And most importantly, for a dragon like him, this subspecies milk was safe to drink. Using the shadows, he crept carefully toward the mother dragon's belly. When he saw those 4 hatchlings, his heart nearly jumped out of his chest. Finally, a break. They must have just been born, because their eyes weren't even open yet. So no worries about getting caught sneaking a drink. Once he was sure the mother hadn't noticed him, he couldn't hold back his hunger any longer. He latched onto her and started gulping down milk like his life depended on it. The sleeping mother dragon was instantly confused. She was thinking, wait a minute, which one of my kids is this? That's some serious suction power. But she figured a healthy appetite was a good thing. Her motherly instincts kept her from disturbing her kid while eating, so she didn't even open her eyes. As all that milk flowed down his throat, he felt a strange warmth spreading through his once freezing body, and his level started slowly climbing. Maybe it was the relief of surviving, or maybe it was just how warm he felt curled up against her. But his tense nerves finally let go, and before he knew it, his head got heavy and he passed out. Not sure how much time passed, but a sharp sting on his neck jolted him awake. Then a massive vertical slit eye, bigger than his entire body, filled his whole world, staring into that mother dragon's eyes, which looked ready to burn him alive. The only thought running through his head was hoping she chewed fast enough so the pain would be over quickly. He curled up, closed his eyes, and just accepted his fate. But he waited and waited. The death he imagined never came. He opened his eyes and saw the dragon wasn't looking at him anymore. She had turned her head at some point, and her 4 hatchlings were nursing peacefully. Then she looked back at him. Suddenly, her expression seemed to shift, becoming complicated. The anger from before faded into sympathy. Then a hint of helplessness crept in. Finally, she just closed her eyes, allowed a sigh, and gently nudged him back into the pile with her own kids. He was completely confused. He looked at the mother, but she just ignored him, settled down, and started snoring. The hatchlings, whose eyes had just opened, seemed to be welcoming their new brother. They excitedly circled around him, sniffing and licking him like for little puppies. Oh crap, is mom really gonna adopt this ugly one? He looks so weird. Looks like an alien and a lizard had a baby. And that's when he realized they were talking trash about him. He opened his mouth and yelled, and in that instant, all 4 of them froze. Clearly, they didn't expect him to be able to talk. He hadn't expected leveling up would unlock something called telepathy. Now he could understand other monsters, and they could understand him. And just like that, he spent 3 chill days in that cave. During that time, he got along pretty well with the little ones. Even though they kept roasting him like he was the ugliest thing alive, they never actually picked on him.